Alrighty, I believe we are live up in the place. It is Wednesday evening. It is the 14th of September, and that means it is session number 13, which is going to be very, very lucky for you, very lucky for us as a community, as a movement. Tonight, we are exploring the age of mastery, which is a very epic sounding title, and I hope it is my intention for this session that some of the insights we share, some of the things we explore will allow you to have some epic success as well, or some epic transformations, some epic breakthroughs, some epic realizations. So let me know you are alive. Let me know you exist. The hub is back up and running. So if you do have any problems with Facebook Live, head over to the hub. And it's very good to welcome the hub back online in a new and improved version. I can now share my PowerPoints live within the hub. Awesome. So yeah, very good. As ever, we will just let people arrive. So if you are here, let me know. Hit it up in the chat box. Let me know that you are here, that you have arrived, and that all is good in your world. Or maybe it's not, but let me know any which way. Let me know how you're getting on. What do you think of when you hear the word mastery? What does that mean for you as well? And where are your transcendent commitments? Definitely go to that post after this session. Post up your transcendent commitment. What is the one thing, very small but significant, that you can do to kick on a new level of your routine and develop greater resilience around your routine? So for me personally, it's making sure I guarantee that for the next however many days we've got left, 15, 16 days of the Creative Ignition program, that I will do at least 15 minutes of exercise. And, you know, I know that that's very, very possible, but I also know that committing to be able to do that will have massive, massive impact. Exercise is one of my major leverage points in my life. If I keep my exercise going, everything else about me is taken care of as well in a much better way. So what are your transcendent commitments? I can see Cam is on the session. Cam is committed to no soda, no fizzy drinks. I know Clint's committed to drinking at least a litre of water a day. All this is awesome. Bex, I can see you're on the session. What do you commit to? Your one transcendent commitment. And the idea being, they've done a lot of research, fantastic book called The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. I think that's how you say his name. And they've shown that if you can develop a strong habit in any one area, it's going to have an impact in how you build habits and are effective in every other area as well. Fantastic. Karen is here. Not sure about good, but could be a lot worse. So good. That is good. Karen is committed to stretching and to walking each day. So that is very good news as well. Oh, good to be with you. Good to be with you. In truth, being with you is a fantastic opportunity at the moment for the simple reason that at the moment, my football team is currently losing. So it's good. I can mask the pain by spending some time with the more amazing Creative Uprising community. So thank you for that opportunity to ease my pain. Michelle is on board. Michelle is committed to getting up early and doing her creative stuff before her work day kicks in so that she can relax in the evening. And this is how she relaxes. She spends time with the Creative Ignition crew. So big up, Michelle. Sun is shining over the beach this morning for Cam. It is shining here in Cornwall as well. We had a crazy lightning rainstorm last night. Super nuts. Massive flooding everywhere, and Tesco got flooded. You know it's serious when Tesco is getting flooded. But today, beautiful sunshine, everything's all good. So yeah, very nice. All right, fantastic. I'm making a difference where you can. Good. Hello, Michelle. So fantastic. We'll give it 1 more minute, and then we shall get started. The age of mastery. Dun, dun, dun. Welcome to Epic Creative Ignition Productions. So yeah, let me know you're here. Let me know how you are, and we will crack on. Wowzers. Bex has got a big list of stuff. So Bex, you know, I give you permission, if you want that permission, to pick, you know, maybe only 2 of those things, and definitely make sure you nail them. Because if you can do that, the other things you've put will almost certainly take care of themselves. But fantastic. I love that you've publicly committed as well. There's something so powerful. I discovered this in a very deep way when I initiated this whole creative uprising, creative ignition stuff, because I had to follow through on what I said I was going to do, far more than I ever would have done before. So thank you guys for that. Well done, Bex. Miranda, now we need to big up Miranda, because I believe that not only today has she had her first article published in the Huffington Post, which is a massive round of applause, she's also been shortlisted for 3 awards for the Coaching Academy, which is an organization that supports people who are coaches for other people. So Miranda, massive big ups, and yeah, keep being awesome, basically. Miranda, what is your transcendent commitment, which is one small thing you can commit to for the rest of the creative ignition journey, as a way of really kickstarting some powerful routine resilience for you? Yeah, very good, Miranda. Now, what's your transcendent commitment? Get warrior on your ass. All right, let us do this. So, as with every evening, just take a moment to arrive. Deep breath if you need it. And know that whatever has come before today and whatever needs to happen after today, right now, we are here as a circle, as a movement, as a community, as brothers and sisters in humanity, to support one another, to receive the transformation and the growth that we need for ourselves and for the world. So let's be here and let's do this. Fantastic, good, awesome, Miranda, great commitment, and making it fun too. Brilliant. Yeah, let's play this game of money management, and it really is. It's a wonderful gift to be able to kind of view things as a game that we are playing. And here's the thing as well, guys. If we view things as playing a game, and actually this is a big part of what we're going to be talking about today, is obviously putting things in the context of a game is a very powerful way of changing the energy and changing the result, okay? So when we say we put things into a game, that doesn't mean we're not playing full out. We're not going like on a rugby pitch or a football pitch in like a race. Like, you know, you watch the Olympic rowing, and at the end of that race, those guys are like nearly puking. They've given everything. Yet that is the game they are playing, right? So, and I invite you to play your games as fully as that, okay? You don't necessarily have to puke up every time, but go fully freaking at it, right? Go at it. Play the greatest game you can. But, you know, view it as a game, as something you've chosen to be a part of. So, cool, let's do this. So today, we are going to explore perhaps the most powerful way, I believe, that you can change the energy to change the result. And when you change the energy in the way we're going to explore, I believe you can change, you know, every major result that you seek and that you aim for. Okay. What are we talking about? We are talking about the shift from the doing side of things here. We're talking about the doing, right? And we're shifting from the old story where you were kind of compelled to do things, the old story compulsion, to new story where the motivation is more devotion. It's something you are devoted to, you are inspired by, okay? And we're talking about the difference between, or the shift from, a very kind of goal-setting, goals-orientated mindset, and I choose my words carefully there, mindset, in terms of how we approach the science of achievement, to a mastery approach, an approach of mastery. And the difference is, you know, is the number of layers to what we mean here. When we think of goals are fundamentally extrinsically motivating. That is, that they are factors that we have to motivate ourselves. It's like, right, I want to get that gold medal, so I'm going to work hard. That's my goal, right? Whereas mastery is a more intrinsic motivation. It is something that that you're driven from within, because it is something you're devoted to. It's something you're inspired by. Okay. So whereas goals may be something you have to kind of break through to get to, mastery is more a journey that you are led upon, that you kind of co-create as you go. Okay. Goals are very much kind of head orientated. It's like, here's my goal, here's the plan and the exact specific lockdown process of how I'm going to get to that goal. Whereas mastery is far more from the heart. It's acknowledging that this is my practice. This is what I devote myself to the improvement, the mastery of my craft. And as such, it's something that is far more, it's far more fulfilling, because when you're devoted to a lifelong journey of improvement, development, growth, then suddenly failures and getting it wrong don't really exist, because it all becomes part of the journey. Whereas from a goal-setting mindset, you can fail. It's like, here is my goal. Did I cross the finish line or did I not cross the finish line? So suddenly you can fail. And as a result, goals can leave us fundamentally dissatisfied. We can feel like we're not enough. Therefore, simply that feeling of being not enough can trigger a lot of other self-defeating behaviors, procrastination, reclusiveness, and I say some of these from my own journey as well. Whereas for me, going right, well, actually, this is a journey of mastery. Particularly, there's a couple that are really strong for me of late. One is rapping, which is putting my rhymes and my poetry to music, and the other is entrepreneurship. Trying to be the best entrepreneur I can be. And previously, my entrepreneurial journey had stuttered at times because I was coming from a goal-setting mindset. I was like, right, I want to be earning this income by this time, and here's how I'm going to do it. And when I failed to do that, I was like, well, shit, I must be useless. Clearly this isn't of me. Whereas when I shifted to kind of, embracing the journey of my devotion to my entrepreneurial growth, my entrepreneurial mastery, well, suddenly I'm like, okay, cool. Well, I didn't quite get that income level I wanted at that point, or I didn't connect with this person or whatever. Well, great. What's the lesson here? How is this serving my mastery? And so, fundamentally, I was changing the energy, and as a result, I was changing the results. I find myself in a much more solid, joyous place with my entrepreneurial journey than might previously have been the case. And I guess we can sum it up in a very simple statement, which is that goals are about medals, whereas mastery is about meaning. Okay, goals are about medals, and that's simply you're aiming for a specific thing that you either get or you don't. Whereas mastery is a lifelong journey of falling in love with practice, with improving your craft. And the power of this it's been proven in what's just happened, right? We've just had the Olympics, and we're in the middle of the Paralympics, and it's well documented that Olympic athletes, once they've achieved that gold, that medal, a frightening number of them lapse into a massive depression. Why? Because they've been goals driven rather than mastery driven. They've achieved that goal, and there's no meaning there anymore. Whereas were they on a mastery journey where they understood that that their Olympic pursuit was simply a part of their ongoing journey of growth, then the medal comes or it goes. It doesn't define who they are. Whereas if you're an Olympic athlete and you're seeking the goal of an Olympic gold, if you don't get that or you do get that, well, either way, suddenly one way or another, that meaning is gone for you. That journey of what you were striving for. Okay. Does that make sense, guys? Hit me up in the chat box. Let me know, how's that landing? And are the kind of phrases, the terms I've used, are you getting them? Do they make sense? So let me know. And I think it's really worth taking on board as well that if you commit to mastery, almost invariably that the medals will come. Because if you're deeply in love with your practice, devoted to mastering your craft, Well, actually, again, you're playing the game you are choosing, and the getting up at 5 a.m., the extra training, all of that is it becomes a part of embracing the journey and diving into the mystery of this ongoing journey of growth and learning. Okay. Yeah, Michelle, I feel the achievement of goals can be quite hollow. Absolutely. And listen, what I really want to stress as well is a very important distinction, which is that in the old story, the head was in charge. And look where it's got us to. Massive global warming, species extinction, suicide is the biggest killer of men under 45, etc., etc. Right? So the head is clearly not a good master. The heart, as we shift into the new story, is really what needs to be in charge. Now, that doesn't mean that the head doesn't have a massively important purpose. So within your mastery journey, it is essential that you have goals. You're like, right, well, let's say I'm a footballer and I want to be able to kick the ball so that it swerves to the right. Okay, well, that is the goal for this week of my mastery journey. But I don't make the goal the end in itself. It's simply a part of the process. Okay, and that's a key distinction, is that if you make your life all about goals, like Michelle says, ultimately at some point you're going to find a lack of meaning and something that feels a bit hollow. Whereas if you make your goals a servant to the mastery journey, then actually you bring the best of your head and the best of your heart together. Okay, let me just check some of these comments so I can see them flying in. Yeah, so I mean, Harry's confirming this, right? Many hit the drink, hit the depression, and it really happens, at the end of footballers' careers as well. Harry's figures on this are just crazy. The amount of either bankruptcy because they're seeking that rush that they used to get from playing in negative ways like gambling and things, because those kind of goals of winning the game or whatever have been taken away. Whereas those who actually make the transition from footballer pro to ex-footballer are those who have a kind of broader purpose. So someone like Craig Bellamy, who some of you may have heard of or not, very famous kind of feisty footballer, but actually was doing a huge amount of charitable work setting up football schools in Africa after, during his career. So that after his career, actually his mastery journey continued, going, right, well, I used to be a footballer. What can I take of my footballing experience in terms of the disciplines I developed, my training, all that sort of stuff, and how can I now apply that to the mastery of serving my charitable work in the biggest possible way? Okay, so Harry, thanks for that. Absolutely true. But Bex, that's fantastic to hear that it's landing with you, because I've been more goals driven than mastery driven. Like I said, it's not to dismiss goals at all, but it's to make them here's another kind of metaphor that might work as well, which is that goals are the vehicle, but mastery is the road. Okay, and so if all you do is spend time focusing on the vehicle, you're going to miss out on some incredible journeys, because you're not being aware of where the road might take you and where the road is actually currently going. So that may help as well. Cool. Yeah, goals can be missed and leave you feeling like you've failed. Absolutely. And again, this isn't to say that, again, we shouldn't have goals as a part of it. And this is where our warrior really comes in, right? Which is to go, hey, I'm gonna nail this goal, but to understand it is part of something greater, which ultimately, it gives a much deeper meaning and a richer experience, so that success or failure of the goal is embraced with joy either way. Okay. Cool. So the big question, of course, then is, and guys, thank you for the interaction. Really, really great. Loving to kind of see how this is going. Okay. So the big question, of course, becomes, well, what does it take to have a mastery practice, to devote yourself to mastery? Okay. And there's three elements to this, and I'm going to share a little story as well that will highlight this. Okay. So I'm just on the hub. I'm going to switch over to my PowerPoint, so that if you guys want to watch back, you can do that with the PowerPoint thing that I've got. So let me do that for you now. Where's it gone? Start. Ooh, the technology. There we go. Cool, fantastic. So let's go with this. Let's go and share it. There we go. Perfect. Cool. So we're in. I've even got like a little clicker thing, so I can now be very animated and talk you through it. Hey, on the hub, you're now on the slideshow, and I'm going to take you through this. So I call this the talent formula. Okay, the talent formula, and it is essentially a formula for how you can turn any talent or thing that you would, thing you'd like to be good at, how you can kind of transform it into a journey of mastery, okay? And there's three elements. The first of those is practice. You may have heard of things like the 10,000 hour rule, which for those who haven't, is the idea that in order to be a world-class performer in an area, be it music or sport or writing novels, or graphics, whatever it might be, it takes approximately 10,000 hours to get to a kind of world-class expert level, right? Now, whether you want to get to that world-class expert or not, fundamentally, mastery is about having a practice. So the kind of, I guess the ninjas would say, their practice is their martial art, and it's something they devote themselves to. So regardless of whether you want to put the 10,000 hours in and get to world-class performer status, fundamentally, mastery is about loving practice. And there's a number of ways that we can practice really well, which is to make each practice session a little bit too hard. And remember when we discussed flow factors, the kind of ratio is the ratio of the challenge to the skill level you currently have. The challenge should be about 4% harder. And so what that means is in your practice, you're devoting yourself to essentially failing, making mistakes, messing up. But as you mess up and fail, ultimately you get suddenly a skill that was previously clumsy and that you got right maybe 1 in 10. As you commit to this mastery journey, suddenly it becomes 6 out of 10 and then 8 out of 10. And before you know it, it's 10 out of 10 and you're not even having to think about it. Remember, for those of us who can drive, how it felt when you first were like, here's the steering wheel, here's the clutch. Oh shit, I've got to look in the mirror and out the windscreen all at the same time. It was so clunky. And now we can kind of cruise, and though we shouldn't do, we could have a phone call or, adjust the radio. So it's become, an unconscious competence, okay? So practice. There's very few shortcuts around this mastery journey. And I'm going to show you what the mastery journey looks like in a graphic in a moment that will illustrate this practice to you on a deeper level. So the first aspect of taking a talent and developing from it a mastery journey is practice, okay? The next one is mindset, And you have got to, with this, there's two things. One is fall in love with failure and do it joyfully is the second. Because if you are practicing in the right way to actually continually develop yourself, develop your mastery, like we said, you're going to be failing, you're going to be messing up, because the only way you do that is you fail, you get feedback. Right, well, that didn't quite, again, if we use the football example, right, well, the ball curved to the left and I want it to curve to the right. So let's try kicking it there on the ball. Oh, no, it goes up in the air. Let's try kicking it there. So it's a constant feedback loop. And we're going to come on to feedback in a moment. So the mindset is you've got to fall in love with messing up, with failing, okay? Failing in inverted commas, obviously. And do it joyfully. Because those people who cannot accept that there is this kind of failure, messing up aspect are the ones who will try to get good at something for a little bit, and then they'll just be like, oh, well, it's obviously too hard for me, I'll go and try something else. And they'll try lots of different things and never go deep with anything, okay? And the encouragement here, the invitation, is to have a growth mindset, to know that it is possible to grow and develop in ways you'd never thought possible if you take tiny steps over a long period of time. And that is ultimately what mastery is all about. So we have practice, we have mindset, and the final element of turning a talent into a mastery journey is your setting, is the environment in which you develop yourself, okay? And there's a couple of elements here. One is getting the right coach or mentor, someone who can give you the feedback you need So, say in the football example, let's say I was trying to bend the ball to the right by kicking it, and it just kept going to the left. Well, I've exhausted my resources in terms of how I can improve. So the only thing I can do is go and either find a load of other footballers and ask them, or find a football coach, someone who can say, no, George, you're kicking with totally the wrong part of your foot. You've got to do this. Okay. And that is what we mean by setting, is putting yourself in a situation, in an environment that is going to support your growth and your mastery. And the key word here is feedback, which is, if you can't get feedback on whether you're doing it right or wrong, then you're never going to grow. Think of a chef, right? Say there's a chef who is trying to have a steak restaurant, and every day he practices. He's like, I'm going to have the best steak restaurant, but he's never getting any feedback. He's not putting himself in the right setting to learn. So all he does every day is practice burning the steak. It doesn't matter how much he practices. It doesn't matter how much he's got the mindset, because he's not putting himself in the setting where he can learn from his mistakes. He's never going to improve, or she, if the chef is a she. Okay, so that is the talent formula of how you transform talent, any kind of seed of talent you may have, and you take it into the realm of a mastery journey. Okay, so practice, mindset, and setting. Let me know if that makes sense for you. If those kind of three elements, you can see how they fuse together and work together. Okay, and to highlight this, I want to share a little story with you. I want to share a story with you about a young boy who was about 15 years of age. And fantastic. So Cam's describing it. So great. And Cam, here's the thing. Your journey is you've played a lot of football, but being a coach for football is very different to playing it. So, I love the way that you are so devoted to your mastery journey of developing as a coach. Really, really excites me. And so this young boy, he likes music, right? So he wants to be a musician, and he's at this stage, it's a bit average, really. I first met this young boy when what was the second part of setting? So setting is it's getting a right mentor or coach, and it is also putting yourself in the environment. So at the same time, you need to you need to be able to get feedback. Okay, so setting is about getting feedback, and about putting yourself in an environment that is going to support your growth. So if you're living in a house with people who smoke and drink and party, and you're wanting to be an elite athlete, that setting is definitely not going to serve you. You can have the best coach who's giving you the right feedback, but if you're still stuck in that environment, then you're going to struggle, right? So setting is about getting the feedback from a coach or a mentor, someone who knows, and about putting yourself in the right setting, aka environment. Okay. Thank you for the question, Michelle. So this young boy who wants to be a musician, I met him when I was actually touring. I was managing an artist, a rapper, and this rapper who I managed was on tour with a band who at the time had just topped the charts. And so we thought we kind of made it here. And so it was a nationwide tour. We did like 20 different venues around the country. And this young kid who wanted to be a musician was working for the main band. He was helping them to fix up their guitars. If they broke a string on stage, he'd give them a new guitar and they could carry on. He'd make sure all the mics were connected. He'd make sure there was water for the singer, all this sort of stuff, right? So I think his official title was guitar tech. Okay, he's guitar tech. And to myself and my colleagues who we were on this tour, we were the support act. It looked like all this young boy did was basically just drink all the free beer that was backstage for the main band, and then pester all of us, just pester the hell out of us. He'd be like, hey, can I play you my latest song? Or he was like, hey, let's rap battle. Or he'd just be constantly just asking questions. He'd be like, hey, so the guy who's in the main band's name was Luke, and he's like, so Luke, when you were doing this tonight, why did you do that with the crowd? Or when you were trying to sing this, why did you do this with your body? Just questions. It basically was just pretty annoying. And one night he didn't have anywhere to stay on the tour, so we were like, okay, cool, yeah, you can stay at our house. But but you got to sing for us. So we were filming a DVD. We thought we were going to create this next like amazing DVD of our experiences and take over the world as a record label. Didn't quite come to fruition because I was a goal-orientated entrepreneur. Didn't really know how to improve myself at that point. But this lad stayed on our sofa, sang us some songs, and our journey as kind of musical moguls fizzled out. And about 4 years later, I was working in what's called a pupil referral unit, which is where all the kind of troubled kids get sent if they're having challenges with their education. And I came in one morning, and one of the young people I work with is like, I've never seen him more animated. He's like, George, come over here, check this out. And he showed me a YouTube video. And I was like, whoa, I had to do a major double take, because there on this YouTube video that at this point had got like 3 million views or something, which this was quite the early days of YouTube. That was massive. There was this young lad who'd pestered us, drunk all the free beer, slept on our sofa, tried to rap battle me, asked lots of annoying questions. And there he was on YouTube, absolutely blowing up, okay? And the young boy I'd known was very, very average, okay? Here on YouTube, he was absolutely nailing it. His singing was amazing, his rapping was amazing, and his musicianship was incredible, okay? And he was playing a song called You Need Me, I Don't Need You, which would make him a household name by the end of that summer. The guy I am referring to recently sold out Wembley Stadium 2 nights running. He is, of course, the ginger-haired Ed Sheeran, okay? And I want to break down Ed's story in the context of the talent formula of practice, mindset, and setting, so we can see it in action, okay? So what did Ed do? Well, let's start with setting. At 15 years of age, he didn't go, right, I'm going to set myself a goal of going and selling out Wembley Stadium. He simply set himself on the mastery journey. He was like, right, if I'm going to get better as a musician, I need to be in the best possible setting. So what did he do? He came on tour with a band that had just topped the charts. And every night he was able to stand at the side of the stage and watch as a consummate performer, Luke, who's one of my best friends, the lead singer of the group, would like have an audience in the palm of his hand, singing different bits, engaging with them. And at the end of the night, it was annoying, but what did he do? He asked questions. So he put himself in an environment where he could learn in the setting, and he was getting constant feedback. So he'd be like, Luke, why did you do this? Well, if you want the crowd to respond like this, then you need to do that, okay? He was practicing. Hey, George, can I play you my new song? Hey, George, let's rap battle. Like, so if he wasn't observing and learning from the setting perspective, he was practicing, okay? And when we understand his journey, like how the story progressed, we see this going even more nuts, right? Practice. How many days in the year are there? I think you're nodding and go, George, I know that. There's 365 days, right? Well, out of those 365 days, Ed Sheeran 1 year played 312 gigs. 312 gigs, okay? So by any stretch of the imagination, that is putting in some practice. Now the mindset, this is a fascinating one, okay? Ed had some very supportive parents. So they had a studio at their house and all this sort of stuff. So he was able to practice a lot, of course, there as well. But he realized that he was never going to be able to take his music to the level he wanted to if he stayed in this comfort zone. So what Ed did is he actually chose to make himself homeless. He simply moved to London with his guitar and stayed on friends' sofas, because he knew that that was the only way he would develop the mindset of getting himself out there, of forcing himself to get gigs, to book gigs, so that he could feed himself and he could say thank you to his mates for letting them stay on his sofa. Okay, so that tells you something about a mindset, right? So we see in Ed's story, and of someone who went from, listen, when I knew him at 15, 16, he was average. In the space of 4 years, by applying this talent formula, his mastery journey had taken him to the point where he was going platinum in the UK, platinum in the USA, platinum around the world, selling out Wembley, okay? So I hope that story is illustrative of what is possible. And he did that, like I say, in the space of 4 years, he took it stratospheric. Obviously, he'd been applying the same mastery principle over the course of, from probably the age of 10 or so. But I share that story because you may be thinking, oh, well, I'd love to do this, but I'm just not sure it's possible. Truly, if you can apply these 3 things, embrace, practice, mindset, and setting, and really commit to them, this devoted mastery journey, what you are capable of achieving in the next 5 to 10 years is truly, truly phenomenal. I know it for a fact, largely because, 3 years ago, I couldn't rap. And now I have people who I know are very, very good rappers who go, hey, that's not bad. And for me, that's like the greatest compliment in the world. And I haven't even had the time to devote the level of practice I would like. Yet I know it's because I've consistently, each day, just tried to do a little something. Or each week I've gone like, hey, that beat, how could I rap over that beat? I'm constantly asking that question. That mindset is there, okay? So I hope this highlights how you can take this on for yourself, okay? And I want to just do a couple of things by way of a practical thing so that we can go forward, okay? All right, fantastic. So Cam, great to hear that story has served your kids as well in your school. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and head back onto the hub for people. So fantastic, we are back on the hub. So the person who really inspired this, like for me, sadly he's no longer with us, is the late and very, very great George Leonard, who was an Aikido master, also a real specialist in the field of education, of human potential. And he put together this thing called the mastery curve. And I hope you can see it. Can you read that properly? I've even printed this out so that you can read it on Facebook Live and on camera properly. Now, this is what the mastery journey looks like, in truth. Most people would think that if you commit enough time, then your skill is just going to develop. It's going to be this kind of straight line, okay? Now, that's not what happens. It's not what happens. And, my own entrepreneurial journey maps it out very much so. What you'll have is you'll have a kind of plateau where you're at the same level for a period, and then you'll have a breakthrough. So for me, it was like suddenly I knew how to put my words to a beat. But then as I tried to get better, as I tried to realize there's more nuances to this. Well, I can put my words to a beat, but it sounds very clunky. How do I stop that? So to try and work that out, I actually dropped my level. And you have this, like, again, you're in a plateau where you're practicing and practicing and practicing, and you don't seem to get anywhere. And then you have another breakthrough. But in order to kind of take that new competency and make it your own, again, there's a kind of period where you're trying to understand the process, and you don't get to that same height as you once got to. You drop back, and then you plateau, and then you break through again. And a really useful way of grasping what I'm talking about here is the game of golf, right? So you know that in golf, people they've got this swing, okay? And Tiger Woods has changed his swing, which is literally like changing like the hand that you write with, almost from a golfing perspective, 3 times. And once is because he perhaps he would have tried a new swing, and he'd have had a moment of magic where perhaps he hit it further and straighter than he was ever able to before. So he had a breakthrough. But then as he tried to take that one moment of almost beginner's luck and turn that one moment into a consistent, replicable level of performance, he had to drop a bit, where he had to break it down. He's like, right, well, this is how I stand, and then this is how I raise the club up. So he was at each level really breaking it down to its tiny component parts, and then clunkily at first putting them all back together and so this is the plateau. He's there, he's trying to put it all back together, and suddenly he's like, right, it all clicks. He's mastered all of the little steps, he's put them all together, and suddenly he has this new swing. So he breaks through, and his game goes to a whole new level, okay? And then the process starts again, but this time it might be with his putter, or, so does that make sense? Let me know that this kind of mastery journey makes sense, because here's the thing. If you're feeling like you're struggling right now, you may well be on the plateau. And sadly, the only cure for the plateau is more practice, And that is why the mindset is so vital, because, if we're stuck on the plateau and we're like, God, I'm practicing, and it just doesn't seem to be getting any easier, unless we've got that mindset that trusts, if we commit to this mastery process, we are going to have the breakthroughs, then we're going to quit. And we might quit when we're like literally, with 2 feet away, 2 days away from the ultimate breakthrough, okay? So does that make sense? The only cure for that plateau, if you're struggling, is just to keep practicing, and have that mindset of this is going to work. Yeah, as Tony would say, the plateau indeed. So Tony Robbins is he's a big fan of this mastery journey. And And I know Harry's on the session. Harry, when he first started his football trials company, which now works with 60,000 footballers in something like 212 countries, he began with, I think there was like 8 people who came to his first trial, and now they have 100 people a day who attend. And at that point, Harry's on the plateau, right? He's had the breakthrough. He's like, I know this football trials thing could be a great thing, but his first thing is like, Jesus, there's 8 people. Is this really going to be a viable business? Okay. And, Harry will share his story with you. He says, for the first 6 months, he was working 18-hour days. That is his practice time as he's trying to break through to that next level. And we were discussing it today. As his journey's gone on over the last 4 years, certain business partners have fallen away. And each time, actually, although it seems like something's falling apart, it's because it's the process of breaking through to a new, fuller level. Okay. So I hope that illustration helps. And if you do nothing else from this session, go and get a book called Mastery by George Leonard. Mastery by George Leonard. Tiny little book, but like one of the most mind-blowingly powerful, awesome books. You can read it in 2 hours, and it's truly, truly amazing. Yes, Harry, he almost quit after 2 months. So please, if you are on the plateau and you're feeling like quitting, please use this session, Harry's example, Ed Sheeran's example, to say, look, if you just stay on that plateau, keep practicing, you will get the breakthroughs. Okay. Fantastic. So we've got a couple more things to cover. One is there's going to be two things you're going to need to commit to. Okay. One is mastery. And the reason we did the True You exercise right at the start is so you have an idea of the things you would love to be doing in your life. Well, now the invitation is to commit to them lifelong. 3 or 4 things that in your life you're saying, I'm going to die in the process of getting better than I was yesterday at these 3 or 4 things. Okay. So for me, definitely it is poetry and rapping. It is educating, and it is, for me, I think hosting is the word I would use. It's bringing together groups of people and helping them collectively to facilitate each other's transformations. I know that those are the major ones. And I think the underpinning element of all of those is entrepreneurship for me, because I feel like it's the one which can bind all of those things together and really help things to go massive. So, those are my mastery commitments. And however, there are other things that if you want your mastery to be able to serve in the way you want, you're going to have to get not super expert world class at, but good at. You're going to have to be able to do. Okay. And maybe you're going to have to be able to do them until you can hand them to someone else. Okay. Yeah, absolutely, Karen. When things feel like they're falling apart, absolutely, they are just changing. And that is why, we began this session with change the energy, change the result. Shift from goals to mastery, because it gives you a context in which to have greater faith that you're leaping in the right direction. Okay. So you're committing to, maybe 3 or 4 things. That's it for your mastery, for your entire life. And that's why you've got to fall in love with those things and fall in love with messing up, because, you love them, right? But there's things you're going to have to be good at so that those things can get out to the world and can serve the world. Like for me here, learning how to do a Facebook Live thing, learning how to get the hub back online. So, Google changed this one thing. I tried to do this one thing, it didn't quite work, but now I found a way. Okay. And what that comes down to is what is called the 20-hour rule. The 20-hour rule, which is generally for any new skill, for you to be able to master it to a level of competency where you can do it, right? It will take probably 20 hours. Now, I hope you're going, thank God for that. Some of you may be thinking, at some point I'm going to need to have a website. Or you might be thinking, hey, I'm going to need to work out how to, shoot videos, okay? It's not this massive, overwhelming thing. It will probably take you 20 hours to get good at it, okay? I know Harry and I, we discuss SEO, which is search engine optimization. And that's the process of, making sure that Google ranks you highly. Now, that's not Harry's love. That's not the thing that he devotes himself to and wants to, spend his life doing. But he got good at it so that it made sure that his trials would be successful. And I asked him, roughly how many hours do you think it took you? Kind of testing. He's like, yeah, about 20. That's probably right. So that 20-hour rule. And there's a fantastic, I think it's a TED Talk or YouTube video by a guy called Josh Kaufman. and I'll post all these up in the comments as well, so you've got them, where he shows the process of learning to play the ukulele over the course of 20 hours. He then kind of does a song, and it's awesome, right? But I won't spoil it too much. Check that out. So please take that gift, which is anything you're kind of thinking, hey, you know, I'd love to be doing this. I'd love to be giving my gifts in this way. Oh, but there's a sticking point. I'd have to be able to do this. 20 hours is effectively 45 minutes for a month. So basically, the time you're taking on this creative ignition journey, if you just spend that same time in a couple of months' time on that thing that you need to get good at, you've done it. You've nailed it. Elise, hello. Fantastic to have you on the sessions. Wonderful to have you here. So guys, let me know, has this been useful? Have you had some insights into how you might approach the process of developing and sharing your gifts? And the invitation is to do two things, is to note down what are the 3 or 4 things that you make a lifelong commitment to be better at, to kind of take as your mastery practices, okay? And then the final one as well is, what would be your 20-hour warrior list? What are the things that you need to get good at so that your gifts can be shared with the world more fully, so that you can be rewarded in the ways that you deserve, okay? So what are the things you need to get good at? Put those on your 20-hour list, and pop the 3 or 4 things that you would love to really spend your life doing. Those become your mastery practices. And the way that you devote to them is through practice, mindset, and setting. And we know from that ginger lad that you can go from being fairly average to being pretty damn awesome in a very short space of time. So, guys, I hope this session has been useful. Do hit me up. I'm happy to stay on for another 5-10 minutes, answer any questions around this. Let me know if there's anything you need me to kind of re-explain, or maybe you just start taking, noting down what are your mastery practices. What are the things you need to improve on your 20-hour list? So go ahead, pop those up. Let me know how you've been getting on. Awesome session, great. And Cam, of course, this can really help your, the kids you have at your school, or your those in your soccer academy, because at their age, particularly if they're 10, 12, what they can achieve if they just each day, half an hour, 45 minutes, just devoting to their craft, the results are so crazy, so ridiculous. So yeah, hopefully you can use this mastery context to serve your community as well. Fantastic, good, Bex. Very, very glad. Very, very glad. Cool. So anything else? Any questions? Good, Miranda. Fantastic. And Miranda, this, if my memory serves me correctly, you work in supporting people to live healthier lifestyles, exercise, mindfulness, and taking them on a mastery journey where so many people think, shit, I need to get fit, I need to lose some weight, and a lot of people say, right, well, how long do you how much weight do you want to lose? And they get all specific. Well, actually, no. Miranda, I hope you can say that if you can take your clients on a mastery journey, then ultimately in 10 years' time, not only are they going to be healthier, but they're going to be, their minds are going to be sharper, they're going to be eating right, because the mastery journey will help them to develop the habits that take care of all the other stuff they wanted. Okay, cool. So Michelle, I'd like to be around more writers, but they're so odd. Yeah, these creative types. So Bex, it is a guy called George Leonard. George Leonard is his name. Although probably if you put Mastery by George Leonard in Google, it'd still find it for you. Nice. Harry's loving it. Good, good, good. Fantastic. Harry knows a lot of this stuff, but it's always good. And here, guys, you may well have heard this before, but always be open to hear it again, because something may go in differently, and then you're going to be able to act differently and serve differently as well. Fantastic. So lifestyle, a way of being. Absolutely. Now, I love that, Miranda. I love that. That's a great way of kind of closing it up. Is, we spoke about the being of doing, right? Which is that your doing can only be as strong as your being. Now, if you commit to mastery as your method for doing, it's going to be charging up your being at the same time. So you you get this wonderful synergy. So fantastic. Thank you for sharing that, Miranda. Nice. So yeah, Harry's mentioned there you're using your why to get through the tough times, and that is the thing. If you are on that plateau and you're like, oh dear God, definitely, really reconnect with why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? And that can really help to kick your mindset back in. Like, here we go. And I'd also add to that as well. Connect with your why not as well. Connect with your why, the thing that really inspires you to keep going, but also the why not, the thing that you're like, I want to change this. This is the thing that angers me in the world. Your anger is the fire that will keep you going as well. So have your inspiration and have that, that motivation from the why not, the thing you really want to change. That is the thing that will keep you progressing on the plateau as well. Go on, scores. Fantastic. So Cam, great to see that. Thank you for sharing that as well. So brilliant, guys. I reckon we're good to go. So thank you so much, guys. If you haven't yet made a transcendent commitment to do one small thing every day for the rest of this creative ignition journey, do that so that you can take your resilience, your routines to a new level. And of course, what is mastery? But it is the devotion to a routine of practicing and developing yourself in the areas that you love. So guys, thank you so much for listening. Go with blessings. It's an honor to be with you. And where's my thing? Tomorrow. Yes, so tomorrow we start to hit the ground running with, what are you going to be doing in the world? We've laid some very strong foundations. We've connected with what your gifts might be. We are now going to start looking at, right, let's get some clarity on how you can start sharing them. What do you stand for? What are you going to be known for? How can we get you out there? So that's what we're going to be starting to transition into. So fantastic. Thank you so much. Blessing to have you. And I can't wait to be with you tomorrow. Go well.